Okay, I'm going to talk about karoshi today. This is one of the serious issues in Japanese society these days. So we use these kanji characters to describe karoshi. Ka means um, excessive, and ro is work, and she's death. So it's literally death caused by overwork or job-related exhaustion, including suicide. There are physiological risks and mental risks. Okay, so including cardiac and brain infraction, and suicide from depression and burnout syndromes, and so on. Okay, after World War II, a number of men, Japanese men in their 30s and 40s died, mainly from a stroke and some other cardiac diseases. However, the first published case was it occurred in 1969 when a 29-year-old male who worked at a newspaper company died from stroke. According to some studies, surprisingly, 46% of businessmen in Tokyo fear that they would become next karoshi victim. So this table shows the number of karoshi applications and the number of karoshi that have been identified. So the upper row indicates the number of applications. So when your family member died from a karoshi, you have to fill out documents and turn it in to a labor stand-up bureau. And the bottom row indicates the number of karoshi cases that have been identified by them. As you can see, the number in 2000 and 2001 and 2002, they're pretty different. It is because anti-karoshi policies were amended in 2001, so the number of cases identified have been increased. So I'm going to talk about some actual cases here. The first one is a female who worked at McDonald's Japan. She died from a stroke when she was actually working. Even though she was a store manager, she didn't have any control over her schedule and shifts. And due to overwork, she died. This case, her family was compensated. And the second one, this is about a male reporter who worked in Gigi Press. Since he had diabetes, his family was not compensated. The third one, she was a female middle school teacher. However, she was bullied by her classmates, the children she was teaching. And consequently, she developed serious depression, mental depression, and she committed suicide, and her husband was compensated. And these cases were just the tips of the iceberg. And stress from long hours of overwork is the major cause of sudden death, which is karoshi. So, seems like Japanese people work too much, too long, and we're gonna see how many hours Japanese people actually work these days. During post-war high economic growth, which is after World War II, Japanese people worked for 32 hours per year. And comparing to that, American people worked 35 hours. During the bubble era, which is late 80s to early 90s, Japanese people worked for 44 hours per year. And in France, they worked 46 hours. And in the US, they worked for 17, 16, 7 hours. So if you compare Japanese people and French people, Japanese people worked for 38 more days in a year than French people did. That's pretty long. It's like more than a month. In recent years, these are the data from 2010. Japanese people worked for 1733 hours per year. And as you can see, in Germany and the Netherlands, they work a lot less than Japanese people do. Okay, next. So I was thinking why Japanese people work so hard, and I came up with these ideas, which is diligence, bushido, and collectivism. So diligence is it's like a word to describe Japanese people, modern Japanese people. We work too much, we work too hard, I guess. But there was a rumor that Japanese people were actually lazy in the past. This is an article from a magazine called Look Japan. This article was written by Tetsuo Kato. According to this article, to Western observers in the Meiji period, the best adjective to describe Japanese workers was not diligent but lazy. And the Japanese exhibited none of today's stereotypical characteristics of a diligent, hardworking people. It's pretty funny, they're lazy. So in Edo era, they had a lot more free time and they work less. So this is the average life of Edo people. They started working at 8 and they had 2 30-minute breaks before and after lunchtime. And they left work at 6 p.m. And their lunch break was pretty long in summer compared to winter. In winter they had 1 hour, and then in summer they had 2 hours because it was hot. And of course there was no overwork because they had no light. Okay, then average life of samurai in Edo era. They had pretty interesting working style. They had one 24-hour shift every 3 to 9 days, depending on the person. And when they're not working, they had like a lot of free time to pursue their interests, such as art and learning. And yeah, it seems like a easier life because the nation was closed off to the rest of the world and there was no domestic work. Okay, in the Edo era, they had a lot of holidays. The first and the 5th day of every month, it was off. And there are also 5 seasonal holidays called Goseku. And of course New Year, and then summertime, Obon. And plus, it's very surprising that they had 60 to 80 holidays depending on the community. And so they had a lot of days off. Okay, they utilized this system called 1-6 system. This is I can't remember. It's holidays. Okay, it's the dates that ends with 1 or 6 were off holidays, and then also they added 10 more holidays a year associated with the imperial family. And also the government, even the government adopted the short working hours system in summer because it was hot. And I bet that it wasn't as hot as now. But yeah, as you can see, between July and August, they got off at noon. That's not fair. And the rate of absenteeism was 21%. And everyone came to work on payday, which was the 5th of every month. Okay, so when did Japanese people started building this history of diligence? In the process, the answer is in the process of modernization and westernization in Meiji era. So a lot of Western culture and social systems were imported to Japan, and they kind of wanted to catch up with them. So probably a lot of people have heard of these social and political norms. Fuko Kyohei, rich country and strong army, and I don't know how to say that. Shakusan Kogyo Seisaku, foster industry. And also, time is money. This is like a proverb in both in English and Japanese, but this proverb was even in elementary school textbook. So it seems like we continue to build the history of diligence even in the Showa era and post-war and modern days. So another factor that contributes to karoshi is bushido. According to sociologist Iwao Otsuka, there are two types of society in the world, and simply relaxed one and tight one. So definitely Japanese society falls into the tight one. And so in tight society, devotion to work is considered as virtue, and like self-torture is a good thing. And also like easy life is not a good thing. So, okay. These Bushido spirits, I'm going to talk about them. Loyalty is samurais in the past. Their life was devoted to they devoted to their life to protect their local lord and their family. And this is not just about buttering up your boss or anything, but it also keeps peace and order within a community. And also brave. ちょっと思い出せない。Can I skip it? Or I really can't remember.
大丈夫。
大丈夫?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think brave is.
I can edit it and cut
Okay. So brave is that no matter what, they have to protect their lord and their family. It doesn't matter what kind of hardship they face. They have to endure and do what they have to do. Okay, courtesy is.
Take your time.
Okay. Courtesy is. Oh yeah, it's kind of like collectivism. With courtesy, they think about other people. They they courtesy is
skip するか。
yeah.
はい。
Right. And the last factor that influence karoshi, Japanese karoshi, is collectivism. So a long time ago, when they started building their life on the Japanese island, they made communities based on the shape of rivers and mountains. This is called sectionalism. So that's how a lot of different communities were created. And people had to cooperate with each other in those communities. So also they have to help each other for agriculture. So the influence of nature was pretty big. Okay. So even nowadays, Japanese people like being collectivist. We think about what other people think of ourselves, and we don't want to hurt other people's emotions, or we don't want to make the atmosphere awkward. So for smooth relationships, we focus on collectivism still. Like I said, in Edo and Meiji era, they had a lot of holidays in the community, and then, however, those communities were about religious events or like seasonal events. So people got together, gathered in the community, and then spent time together. Also, hierarchical relationships within the community is important. So it's kind of like ordering your boss up in a company, within the company. So this graph shows the reason why Japanese workers don't go home early or on time. So the most common reason is that, of course, they have things to do. However, the second one is because co-workers are still working. And the third one is they feel obligation of contribution to the company because they are hired by the company.